Vegas, Nevada, in the Sands Expo Center. It's Patrick Lagreid from Halfwheel, and we are starting things off the only way we know how to start things off, with our good friend Juan Ignacio Martínez of Joya de Nicaragua, Executive President. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Good
morning. Good morning.
It is a great morning, and there's a reason that you are starting this off. And you know, they always say start at number one, and we are going to start at number one. So first off, I know we've said this a number of times previously, but congratulations to you and Joya de Nicaragua on winning the 2018 Halfwheel Cigar of the Year award for what was then known as Joya de Nicaragua number one, or Numero Uno.
It was almost Numero Uno, yeah.
And a cigar that got a lot of kind of interesting looks when it won, because it was an event-only cigar for consumers, but it had been in Joya's portfolio as a diplomatic gift for a long time, and you decided to bring it to consumers. And I can only tell you that when I smoked it for the first time, there are a lot of good cigars in the market. There are very few that I would consider like transcendent, and that was a transcendent cigar.
That's quite an honor to hear from you, my friend.
So we have one thing to do before we get into the interview, and that is present you with a very nice piece of metal that has been fashioned in the shape of our logo. And it is our annual Cigar of the Year award. So I hope that finds a nice home somewhere in the factory.
It already has. We've already debated.
No,
it's gonna be the factory. Let me put it somewhere there. Let's put the cigar over here. Thank you very much, guys.
Oh, well, thank you. It was.
It's quite an honor and privilege.
And
it was. I remember getting the call from Charlie some morning in January, and he gave me this. It's like news about number one.
Right.
It's like this is not supposed to be.
Right.
You know? And we had a lot of fun since you gave us the great review last year, because it was a cigar for the event.
Right.
This is a cigar that wasn't conceived to be appreciated, to be enjoyed in ratings. It wasn't.
Sure.
It did the blend with the whole story of the diplomats going out in Nicaragua, giving out to foreign missions, and to sum it up, the government was asking us for a lot of cigars.
Okay.
And we're giving them Antaños, Darconojo, whatever we had.
Right.
It was a bad idea. You don't imagine a Chinese prime minister smoking a Antaño Darconojo.
Sure.
So we decided to took it out. We did the whole blue and white band.
Right.
Everything very beautiful. But we didn't put a lot of thought on it. That was my father giving cigars to the foreign ministry so that they could be smoked and enjoyed. Then you guys got your hands on. Well, it was Drew Estate's fault because they pushed us to do the event exclusive.
Right.
And for us, we're not used to doing a lot of limited or very exclusive small batch things. That's not, it's not been in our tradition. So we gave out that, and people started enjoying it. And when you got your hands on it and you smoked it, and we got a great review, we were very, very honored. But at the same time, we sort of told ourselves, we push ourselves to try to make the best blend for a cigar to be sold. And you see, when you don't focus on that, you end up doing good things.
Right.
So that sort of changed also our mentality. So we're very blessed, and we're honored to have been named.
Well, it was like I say, it was a cigar that, I've smoked a lot of Joya de Nicaraguas for
I remember,
8-10 years probably now. I still have a box of Celebraciones
and you always
that your dad signed. Back, before I was even in the industry.
Yeah.
And to see because you get the cigar and you know its roots, but you don't necessarily know how it's going to taste. Is this thing just to show off as a handoff gift, or is it actually to be smoked and enjoyed? And I smoked it, and I almost had to stop myself, because it was like, this is not your traditional Joya profile. And not only is it that, it is not what occupies probably 90% of the cigar market, which, look, we live in a great time for cigar smoking, and I think it's harder and harder to stand out. But that cigar certainly did it.
And I think it's a combination of the blend is great, but also the format.
Oh,
the
absolutely.
Format is key. And as we were talking earlier, there are some details in the cigar itself, like the wrapper and now the size, that play a key role in the flavor and the experience itself. Sometimes we undermine that. We focus a lot on what sells the most.
Sure.
Robusto, a Toro, a Gran Toro, a 6x60, because it sells.
Right.
But it's not necessarily the best cigar to be smoked.
Right.
And this is another example of the importance of the size.
Absolutely.
And it's a good way to teach people on don't necessarily go for what's big or what's popular, because it's not necessarily going to be the same.
Right. So with that said, we got some really good news not that long ago, which is that Numero Uno is now going to be a little more widely available. It's getting its own release, and that's what I'm smoking at the moment.
Yeah.
And so it's still sort of Numero Uno, but it's now the Ambassador.
Yes. Well, it's the exact same blend.
Right.
But what we try to do is to bring it more in line with the family of products that we already had out there. We call it Obras Maestras.
Right.
And because in a funny way, it's tied with the numbers, we kept playing with the celebratory achievements. You know,
Right.
we had 4-5 for the 45th anniversary, we had 5 décadas, and this was Numero Uno, we're celebrating number 1. So we decided to put in that. We redid the band so that we could avoid any confusion.
Right.
Because the original band we will keep.
Sure.
For the gifts, for the events, stuff like that.
Sure.
But the original, the new band, which is the one that you're smoking here, it's more explicit. The other one didn't say
Right.
Numero Uno, didn't say anything. And this is coming out, this show, we're limiting it to 1,000 boxes only, and it's retail exclusive. So it's, it's not going to be available online. It's going to be exclusively available in retail. It's going to be shipping in August. It's already on its way to the US. So it's going to be shipping in August exclusively to retailers.
Fantastic.
DDRP retailers,
Right.
which is Drew Diplomat Retailer Program.
Right. So that's a little bit early, because I remember I heard fall was kind of the target.
Yeah,
and
well, it's probably August, September. We'll try to push it that way.
That works for me.
Yeah. I think before the winter, we want to take advantage of the year.
Sure.
Because, this award lasts for a year.
Absolutely.
You'll have another number 1 this year, so we don't want to lose that momentum.
Right,
We want to make sure
absolutely.
people have it in their hands.
Right.
But it's the exact same blend. It's actually the exact same cigar.
Okay.
We didn't even produce more. We had already stock, and that's what we're bringing right now.
Nice.
So it's the exact same cigar, just with a different band.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. I mean, like I say, it's, and it's limited, but I mean, I know I'm going to probably buy a box or two right when they come out. But $15 for a cigar that's this good, I mean, that is incredible for me.
We'll see what people think. I'm ironically, by the way, you mentioned the Ambassador. So we try to put a name to the Vitola.
Right.
Because actually the Vitola is Numero Uno.
Okay.
That's the name of the Vitola. But it was getting confusing for people if it's the size or the name of the brand. So we decided to add, a little bit of the mystique of the N in French to make it more appealing to the foreign market. We actually had a very nice experience last month in London, because our distributor there, Tor Imports, they organized a diplomatic cigar smoker club, only for diplomats in the UK. I was en route to somewhere else, and I stopped, and we did this Ambassador Cigars Club event in the Ritz, and we had the privilege of tasting this with 27 ambassadors from around the world, from Mongolia, from Ecuador, from all over the world in the UK. And it was magnificent because it achieved the goal that we were looking for, that people appreciate it. It smoked beautifully, and it was a great cigar to be appreciated by them. And a lot of them came out and say, "Wow, this is a magnificent cigar." And so we're very proud of it.
Fantastic. Well, I look forward to seeing it on store shelves August, September, hopefully. And it's
DDRP
retailers, so keep an eye out for that in your local brick and mortars that are big supporters of Drew Estate and obviously Joya de Nicaragua. Now, I could go on and on about Numero Uno. We have other things to talk about, which is first and foremost what you're smoking, which is a new Joya de Nicaragua Antaño CT for Connecticut. And this is an interesting story because I heard a lot of words used to describe the challenges to blend the Antaño profile with an Ecuadorian Connecticut wrapper. So I'll let you pick up that story from there.
It goes back about 2005 when we had a brand called Joya de Nicaragua Series C. And this was a cigar that was blended using the Antaño core, the fillers, with a Connecticut shade wrap. The issue with that particular cigar, and some people might remember it, is that people didn't understand it. The Connecticut smoker would grab it, it was too strong. And the full-bodied smoker didn't gravitate towards it because it was Connecticut shade. So they didn't know. It wasn't communicated properly. So it didn't last long. It's actually one of our grandfather brands. It lasted for about 4 years or something like that. We took it out of the market because it was very confusing.
Sure.
So taking that as a reference point, we had the challenge of, okay, let's expand the Antaño family. We have Antaño 1970, the original core since 2001.
Right.
We also have Antaño Dark Corojo, which pushes the limit with a super dark Corojo thick wrapper.
Right.
Then we have the Antaño Gran Reserva, which is basically the same core blend of the Antaño 1970, aged a little bit more, very close to that profile. But let's expand that. Let's see where the traditional core Nicaraguan profile of tobacco can fit in the Antaño family, meaning full-bodied, strong cigars.
Sure.
So we went to the CT, to the Connecticut shade. It's a challenge, and as I mentioned before, Mario, our head of the factory, called it the White Man Can't Jump project because there's so much you can do with Connecticut itself. That takes us to the importance of the wrapper. Nicaraguan wrapper, in particular, the Habano seed and the Corojo wrapper, in their ligero, the thickest, provide a lot of the power and the strength in the Antaño and every single cigar that you have in the strength.
Sure.
Not only the ligero, we think that power is given by the ligero. That's
right.
what tradition, and it does. But the wrapper also plays a lot of, especially if you use a ligero wrapper.
Certainly.
So the challenge was how to play with it. It wasn't a challenge of tobacco itself, it was a challenge of blend.
Okay.
How to blend that without making it offensive, basically too abrasive to the palate. We'll see. For me, it's good. For some part of the team who's used to smoking a lot of Antaño, they say it's not that strong.
Sure.
For others like me, I feel it does achieve its goal.
Okay.
It's never going to be a full 6 out of 5 or 5 out of 5.
Right.
It's going to be 4 out of 5, maybe, in terms of strength.
So it is a fuller Connecticut then?
It is.
Okay.
It varies also, For me, it's fuller. We tried every single Connecticut cigar out there, especially those that claim to be fuller.
Okay.
We identified a few that achieved that, but most didn't.
Okay.
Most didn't. So it does have a lot of flavor. It does have quite a lot of complexity and nuances changing, as the Nicaraguan tobacco usually has.
Sure.
And we'll see what people think about the strength level and the pot.
Okay. Yeah. So that is coming out in. When is this going to start hitting shelves?
It's actually on its way right now. It's on the boat. It's on the ship. So it should be hitting Drew State's warehouse sometime mid-July or before that, in the next week and a half or 2.
Okay.
And then it's going to start hitting shelves hopefully in July.
Wonderful.
This is open to everybody, so you'll find it at every single shop.
Okay.
Everywhere you find an Antaño, you will find an Antaño CT.
Gotcha.
The CT, unfortunately, we had the great names for the brand because we didn't want to make it just Connecticut.
Right.
CT. Sadly, and this is probably a common thread in the industry, every single name in our industry is taken.
Right.
We had 5 different conversations with other companies about either a Vitola or a brand name.
Right.
And we decided, let's keep it simple. Let's not get into confusion with anybody else. Let's keep it CT. Because there's so many things. You open up a catalog anywhere and you have every single name taken.
Sure.
Yeah.
So the proper pronunciation is Antaño CT.
Yeah.
Okay. So make sure you remember that when you go into your local retailer and pick that up. Third line that's coming, or not necessarily a line, it's an extension to Cinco de Cadas, is Fundador.
We actually have 2 extensions, but that's the most important one.
Okay, so let's talk about Fundador a little bit.
So Cinco Décadas is the brand that we developed to celebrate the 50th anniversary of Joya. It surrounds the concept of the brand. It's around its history, its heritage. The first one is called El General. The first Vitola is General, and the Diadema, the first 2 original sizes of that we ever rolled at the factory. And El Fundador is a tribute to the original founders of the company 51 years ago, which is Juan Francisco Bermejo and Simón Camacho. So it's a box press Toro 6x54.
Okay.
It's a beautiful, delicious, complex smoke. The same blend as the Cinco Deca, just in that new format.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And then we also have, which came in earlier this year, it's a line extension of 45. This is an event-only exclusive cigar for Drew Estate events in the country. It's a 45 Belicoso format.
Okay.
It's we try to blend it as close as possible to the original 45 blend from 2013, and I think we achieved it. So anybody that goes to a Drew Estate event can actually find that cigar. It's only 2 boxes per event, so it's very limited.
Okay.
It's about 1,000 bucks or something like that the whole year. and you can buy it at those events.
Wonderful.
So, yeah.
So you got some good, exciting new stuff coming out. I think it's a good, for a company that's been around for 50 years, you're always, you kind of set your portfolio and then you start to rework it and like say, add and subtract. And it seems like Joya's portfolio is in a pretty good spot right now.
It is. We've done a great job in trying to organize better the house in terms of a family of products that are organized by their smoking profile and their price point and their marketing in a way, so that we don't confuse. And they're coherent in their shelf, but also in their campaigns, in their messaging, so that since day one of our challenges was people in the U.S., particularly here in the U.S., they thought about Joya de Nicaragua and immediately thought about Antaño, which is a brand in our portfolio. But I smoke Joya de Nicaragua, but they were all actually saying that they smoked Antaño.
Right.
So in order to try to arrange that a little bit better, we invested in trying to organize. So we have the Joyas with Joya Red, Joya Black, Joya Cabineta, Joya Silver now. Then we have the Antaños. Now we have the Obras Maestras, which includes Numero Uno, Cinco Décadas. So I think we're in a very good spot.
Good.
And we have a cigar for everybody at every price point. And I think the market is appreciating that.
Wonderful.
We have a cigar for everybody, but not every cigar is for everybody.
Right.
So that's important to remember.
And that's one of the things that I think a lot of people say is there's nothing wrong if you don't happen to gravitate towards a certain cigar in Joya's portfolio or anybody's portfolio. I mean, if silver's not your thing, it's fine.
That's the reason why I have so many.
Exactly. The one thing I wanted to spend a couple minutes on, because I know you are very closely tied into it, and unfortunately it seems like it hasn't been getting as much of an update lately, is kind of where things are at in Nicaragua right now. Certainly it was grabbing front page headlines, not just on cigar sites, but on major news sites not that long ago. And as the news cycle is one to do, it gets a headline, and then if there's nothing else, it grabs a headline and it falls off the homepage, but that doesn't mean that the situation's resolved.
No.
So I'm, from somebody who's in the country and very, established in the country, how would you describe where things are at in Nicaragua right now, as far as just kind of day-to-day life, as well as where relations with the government, and wherever you want to go with that? I mean, give people an update on where things are at.
Last year, as most of you know, it was a very complicated year. That was about 15 months ago that the protest and the arrest exploded. Today, even though there's a political process, a political negotiation between the government, authorities, and the opposition and everything, it's actually the country's doing quite stable.
Okay.
At least in terms of security and safety. I live there, my whole family lives there, and we live a normal life, normal daily life. Of course, there are some incidents that, if there's some protest or some, particular thing happening, there's a lot of movement.
Sure.
But at least there's no more bloodshed in the streets like happened in May and June of last year.
Sure.
So I would say that as of January of this year, things have been really stable. I travel to Esteli. I'm in Esteli twice a week when I'm in Nicaragua. I travel around the country, and things are relatively safe.
Sure. And I know it's tough because you don't necessarily want to group the entire country into one basket, because Granada's got its own thing, and Esteli has its own situation, and then you have the drive between Esteli and wherever you're going, and that sort of is its own situation.
And as I say, also, all of us here in the tobacco industry, we work there. The tobacco industry has been blessed. We were one of the few industries that were not affected because we don't sell in the local market. The local economy is suffering. For all of those of you that visited, tourism is down a little bit, commerce is down, but the cigar industry continues to flourish. So in Esteli, we have quite a lot of employment. We continue to grow. Last year was a record year. This year we're still up from last year. And nothing to do with the crisis itself. We're doing because the world market of cigars apparently is growing. So we are responding to that demand. So we have a lot of employment in the industry. You have young people working. You have commerce in the city. You have tourism and hotels. The issue is that some countries like the US and the UK, they raised some travel warning alerts for traveling, and some people were, desensitized to go to the country.
Sure.
But if you ask me personally, I would say, it's 100% normal. Flights are coming in, flights are coming out. There's no disruption. as anywhere in the world, you have to be careful.
Sure, certainly.
If you go to New York or Paris or LA, you have to be careful what you do and how do you behave yourself. But if you're in the cigar business and you want to visit, the factories are up and running full force. So there's basically everything is coming normal. In the background, there's the political negotiation. If elections gonna be earlier or not, how they're going to have, that's a political thing.
Right.
But for us in the business world, in the industry, everything it's pretty much normal.
Good.
So we are very thankful for that.
Certainly.
Because, as you probably saw in the news, last year was very dramatic.
Oh, absolutely.
But thank God, Nicaraguans stopped in their feet and decided we need to work, we need to continue living, we need peace, we need prosperity, and that's the way we're heading.
Right.
Yeah.
So from a tour, you kind of touched on this from a tourism standpoint.
Yeah.
And I know that not everyone gets a chance to hop on a plane and go down to a factory or go to Pro Sabor or go to any of those kind of things. But from that perspective, are we getting closer to where those kind of things may resume and may? I don't want you necessarily to speak on the festival because that's a big decision.
No, but I can talk where we are. We've had a couple of groups coming over to our factory this year. We know that there are some clients that are coming in. Some companies are already activating their tours. In terms of the festival, this week we should have a decision and should be coming out after the show, precisely because everybody's on the show.
Sure.
Nobody had their head on that particular thing. There are some challenges because this is an event that's organized way in advance.
Oh, sure.
And one of the two challenges that we have as a festival, one is the sponsorship, not only from cigar companies, but from other companies.
Right.
Before that, in the end, you go to the festival, you pay a inscription price, but it doesn't necessarily cover all the costs of the festival. 5 days of other things that you do. So we're still figuring out if we can get a good level of sponsorship from outside companies to help us to make the festival a high quality event. And the other thing that we have has to do with the travel warnings and the airline connectivity.
Sure.
That's very variable. For example, right now we have disruptions because of the 737
the MAX,
Boeing thing.
Right.
So American Airlines and United have cut flights to Nicaragua. So that affects us because if we're going to organize and bring 300 people from all over the world, we want to make sure that there's connectivity.
Right.
So we're figuring that out, and we hope that by the end of this week, next week actually, we have a proper response if the festival is going on.
Wonderful.
But you'll see people still are already coming down.
Good. Well, I hope to get back soon because it's always a fun time to visit the factory.
You're always invited, man.
And it's a fantastic factory that continues to feel very alive and vibrant. I know this is some new artwork that was put up not that long ago, and it's a fun place to go see.
And for us, and in a way, this time of quietness, if you want, has allowed us to really focus back into the factory, into the company, into the people. Before we had so many people coming over that you didn't have enough time to focus inside again.
Sure.
And you go today and the factory is more active, and I imagine most of the factories are more active today than they were a year ago or 2 years ago. So you still have that stability, that emotion. Nicaragua is still on top. Number one, not only in quality and volume, but perception in the cigar world. And people are starting to assimilate more that the workers, the tobacco growers, the cigar makers. So you see people very proud. They wear this achievement in their heart, very proud of it.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, Juan, I know we were about 5 minutes away from the show floor opening, and you need to get to work, as we all do. But on behalf of everyone at Halfwheel, and I think all of our readers who had a chance to smoke the cigar, congratulations on the award for Best Cigar 2018. Numero Uno coming soon to a Drew Diplomat retail DDRP shop near you. Limited production, so get them while they're hot. And the packaging looks gorgeous, and it's a fantastic smoke.
I just want to express, because you guys do a lot of hard work, I know, during this week, but I personally want to express our gratitude, not only for the award from the whole Joya de Nicaragua family, but for the work that you actually do on a day-to-day basis. I know it's a challenging thing, but you guys at Halfwheel are an example to follow.
Thank you.
And we use it not only inside the industry, but outside too. The quality of the work that you do, when I go into my browser every day, the first button that I hear, and I'm not being, I'm not kissing Charlie's ass or anything, or your ass, it's Halfwheel. It's this little shape, because the work that you do, and I do that even before reading my own country's newspaper. So just for you to know that the quality of the work that you do, please don't stop doing it.
Thank you.
It's a sort of like a lifeline into the industry.
Thank you very much.
We really appreciate that.
Well, thank you. So on that note, let's both go have great shows and do what we do so well. Be sure to stay tuned or to keep a lock on halfwheel.com for updates from the show floor, as well as Instagram and Facebook. We'll have more content on there as well. We'll be back with a live show tomorrow morning. And just lots and lots of content. So stay following on halfwheel.com, on Facebook, on Instagram. You can also follow all of us on social media. We'll be posting updates from the show floor. And with that, we will say thank you very much for watching. And again, thank you to Juan for joining us. And again, congratulations on a great cigar. We look forward to smoking many more of them. Enjoy our coverage. We will talk to you soon.